so I'm going to continue down the lane of perhaps being unpolitically correct.
Filter for a reason.
Wonderful. So
you got to
when I look at this, take in everything in terms of what happened and even the discussion that we just had, two quotes come to mind. First, Malcolm X, Black women are the most disrespected and the most unprotected. Second is Zora Neale Hurston, Black women are the mules of the world. And I put those two quotes together because of this. What happened, and the reason why I think you're seeing the differences, particularly among the sexes generally, in terms of the interpretation of this, is that as Black women, we understand that it is often that we are publicly disparaged with regards to our physical appearance. We understand that in this culture, our beauty is not held up as the quote unquote beauty standard. We also know that our hair is oftentimes, even as little girls, tends to often be the butt of people's jokes against us. And that is something that can literally last a lifetime, all right? Now, I will say this also about Jada Pinkett Smith's autoimmune disease, which led to the alopecia. Here's the thing. She spoke about this months ago and talked about how traumatic it was being in the shower and having clumps of her hair falling out, and at first not really even understanding what was going on, and how for so many years she enjoyed having hair and styling it different ways and using that as part of an expression of her self-identity. And guess what? Will was there the entire time. He likely wiped her tears. He saw the trauma that she was going through in terms of this health experience that she had, which led to the loss of her hair. And to sit there beside his wife, who, by the way, is also an actress. So she's not just Will Smith's wife, she's an actress. She was there not only being witnessed by the whole world in terms of having this very personal and offensive joke specifically targeted at her appearance, that happened to her in front of her professional peers. And we also know that in Hollywood, particularly for women, your physical attractiveness is directly connected to your check and whether or not you can get a chance to get the next job. And so I found it to be a personal attack on her as a woman. I found it to be a personal attack on her specifically as a Black woman. I found it to be a personal attack on her professional respect that she should have been given. And I can't imagine, I saw a lot of people say, and a lot of Black men saying, oh, he wouldn't have done that if it was a white male comedian. Well, I would venture to say that Chris Rock would not have chastised a white female actress on her appearance in that way. I just found it to be supremely offensive, supremely misogynistic, not only misogynistic, misogynoir-like, specifically attacking this Black woman. And quite frankly, I understand why Will did what he did. I am completely Team Will. Yes, he's going to have blowback because of this. I'm waiting for the apology from Chris Rock. And I specifically have to say really quickly, I find it offensive that anyone would want to shift the responsibility for Will's behavior on Jada Pinkett Smith. That's the part where the mule of the world comes in. Okay, so Black women, we're supposed to not only take abuse, we're responsible for stopping people's behavior before it happens. No, okay, Will is
But Avis, let's stay right on that particular point there. Because again, if we take this example outside of the Oscars, and we take this in our communities, we have the examples of individuals where there have been differences, where words were exchanged, and folks ended up dead. And when we've seen these things happen, we go, man, I can't believe that thing went from that to that. We've seen the stories of folks at a party, and then all of a sudden something is said and words exchange, and it immediately goes to guns get pulled out, innocent bystanders getting killed. So at what point in this conversation do we say we have to resolve differences that does not involve violence?
I am not saying, first of all, I just don't want us to conflate issues, because I think what you're talking about is a broader issue of community violence that absolutely.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm talking a very specific one. I'm talking a very specific one. I'm talking examples of brothers who bump each other in a club, or someone steps on a shoe, words escalate, as opposed to saying, say, bruh, my bad, then all of a sudden there's a shooting. What I'm saying is, last night was a perfect example. Something is said, you feel disrespected, and Will's response was to walk up and slap him in the face. You take that very situation outside the Oscars and anywhere else, and things are going to escalate. We do have to isolate that and say, how do we, when you're faced with a conflict, how do you resolve it that doesn't entail you punching somebody in the face?
Well, once again, I see that as apples and oranges. I certainly think it is horrible, and there needs to be a better way of resolving minor infractions on people, stepping on people's shoes, all of that stuff. We know that has happened. But I'm thinking about this from a 1,000-foot level in terms of how Black women are commonly disrespected. And I'm thinking about it from a historic standpoint in terms of, by contrast, how white womanhood has always been overly protected, which also has led to the death of Black men. Let's be real about that, okay? And so what I'm saying right now, though, is we have to have some real, very specific conversations about all the things that may have been going on with Will to trigger him. And I'll just quickly say, because I get mad every time I see another meme around August and entanglements, okay? Because here's an example of my take on toxic masculinity. This is not how people oftentimes have been talking about this in relation to this. But I find it very interesting that a couple who have said that they had a period in which they were apart, in which it seems like they had somewhat of an open marriage arrangement, but when it became public that the female of that couple had a relationship, all of a sudden, not only is she very much attacked, but Will is very much attacked for staying with her. Now, contrast that against Chris Rock, who has been very open about his multiple infidelities against his wife, which ultimately led to his divorce, which is why he don't have a wife right now to protect. All right. Yet I have yet to see one meme about that behavior. Yet I have yet to see one person criticize him around doing something to destroy his family, rather seeing all of this criticism against both Will and Jada, who have chosen to maintain their family. You know, I think there's a lot that we need to unpack here about how we are treating people differently in ways that puts Black women at the center of a bullseye in terms of being bullied, in terms of being shamed, in terms of being disrespected in multiple ways. And I think that night, Will had had enough.